Hello, Exiles. Welcome to another preview episode here for our YouTube channel. We are previewing, obviously, the huge game away at Barrow at the weekend, and I'm very delighted to have Dave from the Given Beans Barrow podcast. Dave, how are you getting on? How are you doing?
I'm all right, apart from everything that's going on in the football world.
Yes, understandably. Well, maybe let's kick off then. Like I said, I normally ask our contemporaries here how your season's gone, but let's narrow that down first. How's the last sort of month or so gone for Barrow? Because obviously, I'm very aware of the relegation battle down the bottom of the football league there. But how has it gone for you over the last few months?
It's kind of been a continuation of the rest of the season, to be honest, in the sense that we've kind of been grasping at straws in terms of putting performances together and putting results together. I mean, we've pulled out some absolutely fantastic results in terms of beating Bromley. We went to MK Dons, got a great 0-0. The amazing win against Oldham. But in amongst that, there's been a lot of rubbish, and I suppose Sam Foley's had a real difficult task to try and rally a squad that was. It looks as though it's been kind of cobbled together rather than planned. And he's done his best to try and raise spirits, but kind of there's not a lot you can do with defenders who struggle to defend and strikers who don't put chances away. So, yeah, it's been a kind of a continuation of the rest of the season where, to be honest, on a consistency basis, we've just not been good enough.
Absolutely. And for what it's worth, with everything you've sort of laid out there has been sort of the same feelings that a lot of Newport fans have had over the course of the season, conceding silly goals, not really having somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net at the top, and just that lack of consistency as well. And I think that's probably why, the five teams find themselves where they find themselves. Yeah, I mean, to give you a little bit of hope, we've not won 2 games in a row all season. So in terms of consistency, but yeah, after our Oldham victory at the weekend, we're feeling perhaps a little bit more confident in the side to sort of go in and put a performance. You mentioned Sam Foley, of course. Sam Foley, former Newport County player, he was with us during our Conference South and Conference days, in fact, and he's been joined by Graham Coughlin as well. What kind of impact have they had? I know you said that, yes, obviously Sam Foley is, not really had much to work with, but what kind of impact have you seen them sort of have since they've come in?
I think Sam Foley escapes this season with there's a lot of blame flying around, and I think that'll intensify once the final whistle goes on Saturday. But I think everyone looks at Sam Foley and thinks it's not his fault by any stretch of the imagination. I think when he first came in, he wanted to raise the players. I think they've been kind of demoralised in the fact that they've had. I mean, Foley's the 5th person who's picked the team this year, so any worker in any organisation, if your line manager changes on a kind of monthly or at some point weekly basis, then you're going to kind of struggle to get your head around it and struggle for consistency and all that sort of thing. So I think he wanted to kind of trying to put a smile back on faces in terms of the players. And then I think one of the first things he did was he changed formation, and we've kind of been rigid in terms of playing wing backs, and all the previous managers have said, this is what the formation we've kind of recruited for. We can't play with a flat back 4 because we don't have full backs, blah blah blah. Foley came in first game and went to a flat back 4 and said, well, yeah, of course we can do it. I think obviously he's got no coaching experience, so he needed an experienced head to kind of help guide him. So he brought Coughlin in, and I think initially it was seen as this guy's masterminded the Great Escape for Boston last season, and a few other occasions through his career. So I think it was seen as a bit of a solid choice. But again, going back to that point I made in the introduction, you're only as good as the players that you've got at your disposal. They can't literally get on the pitch and tell the defenders to mark a bit better or clear half chances and things like that. And I think it's like we've been talking about it a lot on our pod and and the fans in group chat and stuff. And I think for me it's just an overall thing of mental fragility throughout the squad and throughout the club, to be honest. And I think Foley's done his best to try and address that, but he had a mountain to climb. And as I say, there's no blame flying around into kind of Sam Foley's direction. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with him, because as a player, he's very well, very well regarded as a character, even higher. But he's out of contract at the end of the season, and he's been injured for most of it. So, he's 39, I think he is now. So, whoever the next manager is, because I presume he won't want the job long term, has got a decision to make on that front as well. So yeah, it's very much up in the air with in terms of Sam. But if he does go in the summer, he goes with everyone's best wishes. You won't hear many bad words about Sam Foley in this part of the world.
Here. Yeah, he's still thought of, fondly, and I think it's been at least 12 years since he's been at our club. So, and yeah, you mentioned Coughlin as well. He kept us up a couple of years ago, and for we sort of went in a different direction, and we think, oh, maybe if we had Coughlin at the helm all season, perhaps he might have got more out of our squad. I don't know. You mentioned mental fragility as well. That's something that I've sort of been grappling with all season, and it's something that I kind of saw in the Oldham win, which I didn't think that we had. So I'll admit I'm kind of going into the game at the weekend with a little bit more optimism than, I don't know, had we not scored a 108th minute winner against Oldham. So yeah, looking ahead to the weekend, of course, it's a tough one, because everyone's looking at that bottom five, and obviously 2 from 5 go, and yourselves, you do still have a chance, but it does require, well, okay, maybe you guys are not so confident, but it does require massive goal swing. So how are you looking at Saturday? Are you kind of resigned to sort of the National League next season? How do you think your side will approach the game on Saturday?
I think most of the fans that I kind of interact with were seeing it as it's the family gathering at the bedside to witness the machines being switched off. To be honest, nobody thinks we're going to do it. Absolutely nobody thinks we're going to do it. We've not had the thankfully the club have had the good grace and the sense to read the room, and they've not put out a kind of a join us for the greatest escape possible kind of motivational video that you see on the socials and stuff like that. I don't think they've even put an interview out from after Saturday, to be honest. I'm kind of glad that it's not gone to the last day, because I've been joking all season that if it went to the last day, then one of our former players, Jed Garner, would kind of come off the bench in the 85th minute and score the winner or something like that. Record signing Jed Garner, by the way, which kind of gives you an indication of the quality of our recruitment over the last couple of years. But I just had this premonition, Driscoll Glennon, who's one of our former players, would fire it into the middle. Harrison Biggins, one of our former players, would thread it through for Jed Garner, who would suddenly rediscover that form when he was a hotshot schoolboy and coming through in Liverpool and got his reputation. And he'd kind of swivel on a sixpence and stick it in the back of the net, and that would be the hammer blow. But to be honest, the hammer blow for us was back in February when we were 2-1 up against Fleetwood going into injury time, and we still contrived to lose 3-2. That was the one where you just thought, we're done. That's the sort of thing that happens to relegated teams. So I think in terms of Saturday, I don't know, does he even have a fist at going for it, or do we try and play with a bit of pride and try and keep a clean sheet, which we've really struggled to do in the second half of the season. I think it'll be a strange atmosphere. I mean, obviously you guys have done fantastically well to sell out your allocation. And just on that, can I just say to your readers, I say to your viewers, we know the away end is rubbish. We know the away end you'd get a bad view. We've all got the internet. We've all seen the pictures on the kind of clickbait accounts on Twitter. We apologize as fans. There's nothing we can do about it. But please don't flood the socials with went all the way up to Barrow and this was the view. Like, you know what you're getting into. So yeah, but I've actually got a soft spot for the Newport away fans. In a previous life I used to sell programs in the away end, and I think it was when we were in the conference, and you guys came up to visit, and I would probably say it was the drunkest set of supporters I've ever sold programs to, and I mean that as a compliment. That's not being derogatory. Because I got chatting to a few lads, and basically the crack was they got on the bus at Newport, opened the cans, drank all the way up to Barrow, watched the game, which I can't remember the result. Then
I don't think they can either.
They're going to drink the cans on the way down, and they says, "Well, we're just like supporting our team and having a beer." And I thought, do you know what? Fair play to you, because it's a hell of a journey. I mean, I've done it myself in reverse, so tip of the hat.
Yeah, I mean,
So yeah, it's going to be a strange one on Saturday because, as I say, we're resigned to going down. You guys obviously be checking your phones every 2 minutes to see what everyone else is doing. So yeah, it'll be a funny one.
it is a funny one. And yeah, I mean, just to give you guys a bit of credit as well, we think that the Barrow ground is it is fantastic. It's old school. We love it. It's one of our favorite places to go, even if it's a bit far. Go up the M6, keep going. Get past the northwest, keep going, turn off, keep going. It's a long old way, but
That's it.
hopefully it'll be worth the journey for our 900 plus traveling contingent. Yes, Dave. Yeah, I mean, I guess final thoughts from you. Looking at the size, and I don't want you to make any predictions, but who do you reckon might be joining yourselves if you're resigned to one of those two places? Who might the other team be?
I would dearly love it to be Harrogate, because I've not got a single good word to say about Harrogate Town from top to bottom, from the owners to the stewards. I think they're a contemptible bunch of people, to be honest. So I'd love for them to go down, but also obviously we're going down, so the prospect of facing them again doesn't really fill me with a great deal of joy. Tranmere would be nice for them to come down, just purely because, like, the Pete Wild factor. I think it was quite ironic that he managed to win a crucial game in April, because he never managed it for us when we're on the cusp of the playoffs. So that'd be quite funny, because I think the social media fallout if Tranmere went down would be pretty nuclear, to be honest. And again, Crawley, I think Crawley have got a tough game. They're at home at Salford, if I'm right in
Yep,
thinking.
correct.
Salford need a win, so. But yeah, I mean, you say there's two slots. I think there's one slot left. I really do fancy you to come and get something, because, as I say, we're quite a brittle team in general. So I would probably back you guys to take all 3 points if you're at it on Saturday. But again, it's that consistency thing, isn't it? We beat Oldham in a blockbuster finish, and then followed it up by being absolutely abject against Walsall the week after. So those teams are down the bottom because they are inconsistent, they're mentally fragile, they're just not that good at football. So anything could happen. But yeah, as I say, I'm going to go for one final game with me mates, have a bit of a mutter and a grumble, and kind of get myself in the bar afterwards and start the post-mortem in earnest.
Absolutely. Dave, it's been a pleasure for you to come on and join us today ahead of the game on Saturday. I wish it were in better circumstances. Frankly, I'm glad that it's maybe not necessarily that 6-pointer winner takes all kind of game, because I'll be honest, I wouldn't have had any faith in us doing it. But at the same time, sounds like you don't have much faith either. So that's one thing we can agree on, that we don't have faith in our teams. But Dave, thank you so much. Given Beans podcast. Yeah, Dave, thank you. Appreciate your time.
No worries. Thank you for having me.